The impossible has finally become reality. After years of fighting against fate in a world where magic determines everything, Asta, the boy born without a single drop of mana, now stands at the very top as the Wizard King. But what makes this moment feel so powerful isn't just the title itself. It's the brutal journey behind it. Every defeat, every scar, every time he was mocked for being powerless all led to this final chapter. And just when the world believed peace had finally arrived after the fall of Lucius, a new threat suddenly emerged from the shadows, forcing the kingdom to witness the true presence of its new protector. What makes this ending hit even harder is the final clash between Asta and Yuno. Two rivals who started from the same forgotten village now stand as the strongest mages in the kingdom, fighting not out of hatred, but to prove whose dream burns brighter. The battle feels explosive, emotional, and symbolic of everything Black Clover has built since the very beginning. And when Asta finally steps forward wearing the Wizard King robe, the story no longer feels like a simple fantasy adventure anymore. It feels like the payoff to one of the most inspiring journeys in modern shonen history. Oh yeah, so we can keep interacting and making the anime storytelling world even more fun together. Don't forget to subscribe, hit the like button, and drop your thoughts in the comments to keep the vibe going. Alright guys, let's jump straight into the discussion. Let's go. What would happen if a boy born without magic in a world ruled entirely by magical power ended up standing at the very top as the Wizard King? That impossible dream finally became reality. After countless battles, endless sacrifices, and a fierce rivalry with Yuno, the story of Black Clover finally reached its ultimate climax. This wasn't just another victory. It was the final peak of a journey that once felt completely unattainable. Just as peace slowly returned to the kingdom, a new threat appeared during the Magic Knight's exam. But this time, everything felt different. Asta was no longer just a reckless fighter charging forward without fear. He had become a true leader, someone capable of carrying the hopes of the entire kingdom on his shoulders. With Asta finally taking the role of Wizard King, the story doesn't simply close one chapter. Instead, it hints at the beginning of a brand new era waiting to unfold. So let's dive deeper into everything that happened. Honestly, the story truly reached its highest point here. At the end of Black Clover, Asta finally earned the title of Wizard King after defeating Yuno in a decisive one-on-one battle that settled everything once and for all. This chapter felt incredibly intense and overflowing with hype from beginning to end. On top of that, Asta's design during this moment looked absolutely incredible. It felt like the perfect conclusion to such a long and emotional journey. Even the final review carried a strong sense of excitement, almost like an emotional farewell for longtime fans. The story immediately jumps to the aftermath of the massive battle against Lucius, revealing that 6 months have passed and the Clover Kingdom is now filled with heated debates. Everyone was talking about only one thing: who truly deserved to become the next Wizard King, Asta or Yuno? From ordinary citizens to the Magic Knight captains, everyone had their own opinion. Some believed victory would have been impossible without Asta's anti-magic. Others argued that without Yuno, the entire kingdom would have already fallen. Even Yami and Figolian ended up arguing over which of their students deserved the title more. In the end, the kingdom chose the simplest and fairest solution possible: a one-on-one duel. Whoever won would officially become the next Wizard King. The decision was immediately accepted by everyone without complaints. Deep down, they all understood that no matter who claimed victory, history was about to witness the youngest Wizard King ever. People from across the entire kingdom gathered to watch the fight, including many familiar faces from earlier arcs that added a heavy sense of nostalgia to the atmosphere. The moment Asta and Yuno stood facing each other in the arena, it felt like a flashback to the beginning of their long journey together. Their rivalry gave off strong Naruto and Sasuke energy, but with a warmer and more respectful bond between them. Before the battle even started, both of them shared a confident smile. Yuno immediately launched the first attack using wind magic, while Asta countered it effortlessly with anti-magic. Yuno summoned massive storms, and Asta responded by entering his half-devil form. At the same time, Yuno activated Spirit Fusion mode. From that point onward, the battle exploded into non-stop action with barely any dialogue at all. Every attack came at insane speed and brutal force. Yuno unleashed countless magic blades, while Asta deflected them using spinning anti-magic before retaliating with devastating slashes of his own. Yuno's magical aura kept growing larger and larger, yet Asta somehow continued matching him blow for blow. Neither of them showed any sign of backing down. Even the Magic Knight captains were shocked by how overwhelming Yuno's power had become as he continuously attacked with star magic while teleporting around the battlefield. Meanwhile, Asta fought using nothing but raw physical strength and anti-magic. This fight wasn't only about power anymore. It became proof of just how far both of them had evolved throughout the series. As the battle intensified, the tension became even more overwhelming. One major question started hanging over the battlefield. How much longer could Asta keep moving when his body had already been pushed far beyond its limits? Every muscle in his body looked like it was being forced to work overtime. At the same time, Yuno refused to slow down for even a second. The pressure kept increasing nonstop. So who would collapse first? Would Yuno eventually run out of mana, or would Asta's body finally give up on the strain? Amid all the constant clashes, Yuno began showing his incredible intelligence in battle. He adapted quickly and realized one critical weakness in anti-magic. That power could erase magic itself, but it could not erase physical objects. Out of nowhere, a massive boulder came crashing down straight toward Asta. The entire crowd gasped in shock as all eyes locked onto the arena. For a brief moment, it looked like the attack had completely buried him. But then Asta roared from beneath the rubble and exploded out from inside the stone itself. With nothing but a single barehanded punch, he shattered the gigantic rock into pieces. Even Yami was stunned watching it happen because that level of physical strength was far beyond normal. It was the Zetan technique pushed to an absurd level. Without wasting time, Yuno counterattacked using Spirit of Notice, but Asta charged forward without hesitation and landed a devastating hit of his own. By all logic, Yuno should have already run out of mana by that point. Yet things worked differently for him. As someone loved by mana itself, the normal rules simply didn't seem to apply. The fight had completely surpassed common sense. Blow after blow kept shaking the battlefield. At one point, Yuno even managed to seriously injure Asta. During the middle of their brutal clash, Yuno switched tactics and used a defensive shield as part of his offense. But once again, Asta managed to read his movements perfectly and answered back with another crushing punch. Even though Yuno was visibly exhausted and covered in injuries, his determination never faded for even a second. Eventually, the decisive moment finally arrived. Both of them gathered every last bit of strength they had left for one final clash. And in the end, Asta emerged victorious. Yuno accepted his defeat with complete respect and openly acknowledged Asta's strength. At the same time, Asta admitted that without Yuno pushing him all this time, he never would have reached this point. Their rivalry ultimately closed not with hatred, but with deep mutual respect between two lifelong rivals. The story then skips ahead 2 years into the future. Every character looks far more mature, and life throughout the kingdom has started moving in a new direction. The series slows down for several lighter moments, showing relationships between characters, their daily lives, and emotional reunions with the Black Bulls. Several important characters also receive satisfying conclusions to their journeys, including Noel. The atmosphere during this section feels calm and peaceful. Almost everyone seems genuinely happy with the path they've chosen. The story even expands to show the condition of the wider world, including the Witch's Forest, where everything appears far more stable and hopeful than before. Yuno also reappears, seemingly still carrying ambitions that go beyond where he currently stands. However, that peace doesn't last forever. 2 years later, during another Magic Knight's entrance exam, chaos suddenly erupts when the event comes under attack. The entire situation instantly turns into panic after a mysterious ship launches an assault on the exam grounds. But surprisingly, the attackers themselves are suddenly struck down by an unknown figure. It becomes clear that even though one era has ended, a new conflict is already beginning to emerge from the shadows. The final moments of the chapter feel absolutely insane and incredibly satisfying. Right in the middle of the Magic Knight's entrance exam, a mysterious ship appears and tries to throw everything into chaos. But at the most critical moment, the person everyone had been waiting for finally arrives. Asta, now officially the Wizard King, personally steps onto the battlefield to protect everyone. His appearance on that page looked unbelievably cool. The aura of a true leader surrounded him instantly. The attackers even underestimated him at first because they couldn't sense any magic power coming from his body. One of them mockingly asked, "Who is this guy?" And with complete calmness, Asta answered, "I am the Wizard King." That single panel became the perfect closing moment for the series. There was honestly a point where it felt uncertain whether Asta would truly achieve that dream or not. But in the end, the story delivered exactly the conclusion fans had hoped for. The chapter moved at an extremely fast pace because there was so much content packed into it. Yet every single page still felt meaningful. There was even a colored illustration showing Asta wearing the Wizard King outfit. Even if that image may have only been fan art, it still looked amazing. In the final double-page spread, Asta stands proudly with visible scars across his body while wearing the Wizard King robe, officially becoming the youngest Wizard King in history. It truly felt like witnessing a long journey finally pay off in full. And while some parts of the ending may have felt rushed or slightly forced, the overall journey of Black Clover still ended on an emotional and satisfying note. From beginning to end, the story always had its own unique charm. Sure, some of the criticism toward the series was understandable, but at the same time, a lot of it also felt overly exaggerated. What's undeniable, though, is that an ending like this feels genuinely satisfying. Every major character receives proper closure. The final battle against Yuno is presented in an epic way, and most importantly, Asta finally achieves the dream he had been chasing since day one. The biggest relief comes from the fact that the worst possible fear never became reality. For a long time, there was this lingering feeling that Asta might actually fail to become the Wizard King. That possibility almost haunted the ending, but instead, the story answered everything beautifully. The conclusion feels warm, rewarding, and emotionally fulfilling after following such a long journey. And when you look deeper into it, this ending isn't only about Asta reaching the highest position in the kingdom. It's about how every struggle he faced along the way shaped him into the person he became. From being a magicalist kid constantly mocked by others to eventually becoming the symbol of hope for the entire kingdom. None of it happened overnight. Every injury, every defeat, and every brutal training session finally paid off in that last moment. Even the way Asta appeared during the Magic Knight's exam felt symbolic. Deep down, he's still the same Asta everyone knew from the beginning, only now he stands on a completely different level. At the same time, the world of Black Clover still feels alive even after the story officially ends. The attack during the exam almost serves as a reminder that conflict never truly disappears. It simply changes form over time. The difference now is that Asta stands at the center of it all as the Wizard King, fully prepared to face whatever comes next. What also makes the ending interesting is that Yuno hasn't truly stopped moving forward either. His ambition is still there. It feels like their rivalry never actually died. It simply evolved into motivation for both of them to keep growing stronger. That's why this ending feels complete. Every character is given room to grow. Their relationships feel more mature, and the world that was once filled with chaos finally appears stable. Yet the story still leaves behind just enough mystery for fans to imagine what could happen next. Will an even greater threat eventually appear? Or will this new era of peace actually last for a long time? What's clear is that Black Clover chose to end its story in a bold but simple way. Direct, emotional, and still powerful enough to leave a lasting impression. Not every ending needs massive twists or shocking reveals. Sometimes the most satisfying conclusion is simply seeing an impossible dream finally come true. And in this case, it happened in a way that truly felt deserved. When you really think about it, this ending also proves something important. Long-running stories are never just about the destination. They're about the journey that leads there. And Asta's journey is honestly one of those stories that will be very difficult to forget. Thank you for following this incredible story all the way to the end. Yeah, it's really nice information, Nakama. Thank you so much for sticking with the story till the end. If you have any questions, feel free to write them down in the comments section below. Thanks again for watching, and see you in the next one.